And now for the hot topic of the hour, an FBI agent testifying before the House Oversight Committee last month saying that the Biden transition team and the Secret Service were tipped off by the FBI about a looming interview with first son Hunter Biden. This happening in December of 2020 and resulted in that interview being scrapped. Fox News Digital reviewing the transcript, which corroborates IRS whistleblower Gary Shapley's testimony that Attorney David Weiss's prosecutorial decisions were largely based on politics. Todd, what do you make of this? The special treatment that we know Hunter Biden received, but it kind of goes beyond that now.
Yeah, this is obviously example 9 million of the two-tier system of justice that exists in our country right now, and it cannot be that way. You cannot have faith in the law. You cannot have faith in the system if that is the case. But going forward, to your question, Cheryl, we need to make sure that from this point forward, Republicans and Democrats should come together to make sure that the process is clean from here on out. I find it unlikely, based upon some of the statements we're hearing from some of the people out there on the Democratic side, your Dan Goldmans and the like, that is going to be the case. And that is concerning because all lawyers, all Americans should want the system to be fair and impartial going forward. You
know, Jessica, I'm curious if these new revelations are going to be part of the new special counsel investigation. I don't think so. I mean, but the cynic in me says no, that he's going to continue to get special treatment from David Weiss, who cut that sweetheart deal in the first place for him. But maybe I'll get proven wrong. I don't know.
Well, and these are the missteps that we can't really afford right now, right? There's a huge problem with trust in our institutions right now. You can't afford to be appointing people who have, not a spotless background with the situation. You can't afford to have things be posted hours before they're supposed to go up. All these little missteps. Just the appearance of problems is enough, and then we're no better than where we started, right? The point of this is transparency, let the daylight in, figure out what really happened. And if everyone can discount those findings because people are making these mistakes and there's concerns about bias and special treatment, then what's the point of this? And we really need to get to a place where people can trust these institutions again. It has to get cleaned up.
To Jessica's point, talking about David Weiss, Andy McCarthy said it best. David Weiss is not a special counsel, because a special counsel is somebody who would be completely divorced from these proceedings. David Weiss is these proceedings so far. He is at the center of all the questionable decisions. And I know you have people saying, oh no, he was a Trump appointee. This couldn't happen. I mean, let's face it. There were a number of Trump appointees who were just, part of the, we need to check boxes. We need to appoint a bunch of DAs. We need to appoint a bunch of AGs and U.S. attorneys, USAs. Let's keep in mind, Biden retained David Weiss. So there's a reason for that. This is not a situation where you really can, I think, trust what he's going to do and that he really is a special counsel, because he's not really the definition of a special counsel.
Too, Merrick Garland is the one that gave him the appointment, and it was reported and not really confirmed here, but that David Weiss had a long time ago wanted to be a special counsel, wanted the appointment, and then Merrick Garland said no. That tells me Merrick Garland was trying to bury this. He was trying to suppress the Hunter Biden story, and that kind of, the whistleblowers, they're being vindicated now. The ones that actually were brave enough to go in front of Congress and say, I saw a lot of things, and the way that the IRS was investigating Hunter Biden on the tax side in particular, those were felony tax charges. It gets out of them. You're the attorney. Well, you tell me.
And you wonder, to your point, you wonder if Merrick Garland was playing a chess game, looking so many steps in advance, saying if Republicans one day take control of Congress, and I have David Weiss in this position prior to making him a special counsel, it's going to gum up the works with him being a witness in Congress, which is ultimately what we're seeing play out.
Also, Jessica, what's interesting is even the Washington Post editorial board is admitting that it looks like Hunter got special treatment from prosecutors after it was revealed why it was a sweetheart deal, because it fell apart to begin with. The paper calling those details peculiar, even throwing Joe Biden under the bus by saying his behavior was not spotless either. Not criminal, but not spotless.
Well, I mean, you know it's serious when even the Washington Post is admitting that maybe it's a little fishy here. But I think they're on the right track, right? I mean, because here's the thing. It has to be better, cleaner, more objective than ever right now. If you want to really change minds and convince people of what happened, you can't be sloppy like this. There can't be special treatment. There can't be all this suspicion. It's not going to work. American people need to believe that there is a one, not two-tiered system of justice, and that these things are really being investigated fairly. And if we don't get to that point, nothing gets accomplished here.
We got to run, I know. But Todd, you know what really got me was the fact that when the judge saw the basically it was immunity in perpetuity, she went, no. She just flat out said, what kind of deal is this? I mean, I'm glad that she called out Weiss.
Because this isn't Monopoly. You can't preemptively get a get-out-of-jail-free card.
Yeah,
it's not
forever.
a thing in the law.
Yeah, exactly. All right. We've got a lot more coming up this morning.